so let's go ahead and let's make a little hill right here. And on that hill, we'll put a happy little tree and we'll call it a painting. Because after all, this is just a little mini Bob Ross, right? Okay, just kind of finish my thought with that area in the background there. And so now what we want is we want dark. I'm going to go ahead and clean up my brush, but I'm just too lazy for that. Right, so I got some of that black. Remember I said we could use black now. And a little bit of the brown, because, you know, black's just so unnatural. And a little bit of this magenta, that won't hurt. I could throw everything in there. I could put in more blue if I wanted to. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. What we want is dark. Okay. And so then, here, I'm just going to go ahead and paint a bunch of dark here. Just scrub it, scrub it, scrub it up. Okay. Let's see. What can we do to make this a little bit more interesting? Well, you know, the first thing that I'm going to do is just take this brush. Watch this. If I take this brush, it's just full of paint here, right? It's not too full, but it's kind of full. And if I bend the bristles, you'll see it going like this, right? Let's see if you can see it there, like this. Like this. So it's hitting the sides of the bristle. Are going to hit my canvas here? Watch this. Bam, bam. Oh, look at that. Instant grass, right? And so if you get the silhouette of something, some texture, then all this in here is going to sort of take on the feeling of that texture that you gave it. There's all these little cheats in art and in painting. Use them. Take advantage of them. Why not? Here, a little bit right here. Right? All those little flyaways, right? Like that. Now this time I want to get my paintbrush a little bit more sort of calm down. I'll calm down those bristles a little bit so it's a little bit more straight. Right, that's cool. Because I'm going to make a happy little tree now. Check it out. So I just go like this. Right, okay, there goes my cloud. Gotta be bold, right? Okay. Maybe one right there. Right, and old Bob, he says they need a friend. Maybe one right there. Oh, there went all my nice hills. Oh, well. Okay, and so then to that, I'm going to go ahead and, you see I've got my corner of the brush, and it doesn't matter that it happens to be already kind of going over the side. You know, any old thing. A brush this is a square brush, so it's going to have a corner, right? And I'm just going to dab, boop, like that, right? Just a little tiny, let's see if we can see it here, a little, doop, right? Just barely dot, and dot, and dot, and dot. And then I'm going to come down, and if you think about pine trees, right? And that's what his happy little trees are a lot of times. They're pine trees. They come down, they have layers, right? These little layers of stuff. And so what you want to do, you want to just make these little zigzag trees, just like so. If you remember from our last one, I was kind of setting you up in that last one with our little turtles, you're going to make a little tree sandwich, right? So here's just that's that dark part of the tree. And remember, leave some space. You got to have those spaces in there, right? Otherwise, it's very unnatural. The fact that it's mixing with that paint down below doesn't matter. Won't matter, not one bit. Okay, because it's just dark. Okay, cool, good enough, good enough. And so now let's go ahead and let's do this. I'll take my paper towel here, squeeze this off. And since there's paint in that brush, those bristles are going to come together and they should get me something nice and sharp, just like that. See, nice and sharp. Okay. And I think I'll just go ahead and take some of my brown right here, stroking it this way, a little bit this way, right? So I want that nice, straight, sharp edge to it. And we'll just touch it. Just touch. And that's going to be sitting up for my little trunk inside my tree. That's part of that tree sandwich here. Maybe a little add a little bit of light to it. That way it kind of shows up a little bit more. And remember, the light was coming in here, right? So if I put any light on here, it's going to be to the left side here, and the right side would be a little bit darker. Okay, so here. Now, could I use a smaller brush? Sure I could, right? You know, maybe I want to use my soft brush now, but I'm not smash, 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 scrub, 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 right? I'm just going to take that and ever so carefully, right? Then I can put that on with my soft brush. Sure. See? Giving that nice sort of semblance of a little tree trunk right there. Cool, right? Okay. Okay, now I've got this big old brush, but I don't know, it's a little bit funky, right? I've got other bristle brushes. Here's a little bit smaller one right here. And I think this will be a little bit better. It'll give me a little bit more control. And I think I'm going to go ahead and make my green. So I think we'll start with this green here, right into that brown. Oh my goodness, Mr. Coon, what are you doing? That's crazy. Maybe a little bit of this yellow right here until I get a nice dark green, like a pine tree. See, there you go. Nice little dark piney green. And once again, I'm going to start here at the tip, like just with the corner of my brush, right there, just a little corner, nice and sharp. And I'm going to follow the same pattern down, but pat, 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 nice and light, right on top of wherever I put those darks. I'm going to kind of try and keep it right on top of that. Just pat, 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 pat. Right over the trunk, no problem. Okay. And the kids, they always want the fancy fan brushes. And that's cool. Those fan brushes are great, right? But just know that it's the technique. It's not the tool necessarily when doing this stuff. Okay, there we go. And it's still a little bit dark. That's all right. We're gonna brighten it up. We're gonna continue with our little tree sandwich here and put the lights in on top. Okay, cool. So now what we can do is we can add the lights. You got to think about it when you're making something lighter, especially like the green here. Do I want to add white into it or do I want to add yellow into it? Maybe a little bit of both. We'll see. I'll start with the yellow. That seems pretty safe. Oh, a bunch of the yellow there. And if that's not doing it for me, oh, mix in a little bit of white. Okay, that should be good. Okay, so I have a much lighter, brighter sort of color now. Okay. And to this, then, I can go ahead and add, oh, watch out here, just a little bit. I want to get this nice and straight there. Okay. Just kiss the top. This will work for you just fine, and it won't wreck your clothes. So there you go. You see that little pine tree starting to stand out a little bit more. And we want to really, leave it a little bit brighter towards the one side, towards this left side, because remember our light's coming in from this way. Always got to think in terms of form. If you want your painting, your art to go past that really primary school level, right? You want to look like a high school kid that knows something, or like an artist that knows a little something. You got to think in forms. You just got to, right? I resisted it for years, those formal elements of design, elements of art. But you know what? Ah, give it up. They work, right? That's why people use them. Okay, and so we could press that even a little bit further, right? Okay, what if we were to take a little bit of that yellow, just a little bit, and a little bit of the white, just to temper that white. We could give it the littlest bit of highlight. Ooh, that's a little bit too bright. Maybe a little bit of that, a little bit. But we still do want it to be pretty bright. And just, ooh. And especially over to this side, not that side so much. And just, ooh, little, tiny, tiny. I once thought, oh my goodness, does that really happen? Do you see light on things that's almost like white? That can't be. That's very unnatural. And then I went hiking, and there it was. So the sun shining through things and absolutely turning some of the glistening parts of the leaves just white with the light. So remember, but just a little bit. Okay, kill that one a little bit. Okay, good enough. So we've got our little trees there. And so now, right into here, I think I'll just go ahead and add a bit more of that yellow. And what's this blue all about here? Maybe a little bit of that blue, because we're going to start making a green, and I'm out of that other blue. And I'm just so lazy. What a horrible art teacher. Just too lazy. But I got that. Maybe a little bit. That magenta. Okay. Good enough. Good enough. And I might go ahead and switch brushes to this big old brush right here. Because I want to go ahead and just give it, a little bit of grass, a little bit of bushes, brambles, stuff like that. Okay. So I got this here. Going to load it into my bristles here. Remember what I was telling you before, you got to think about, well, what color do you have on the brush and, where's it at and how much. That all becomes really important with this opaque paint, right? And so, let's see how this is going. Okay, yeah, that's pretty good. So what I can do is I can take and once again just bend. See, bend and separate those bristles a little bit. And that's going to give me that semblance of grass right there. Just this feeling of grass. And don't kill all your darks, right? We want to keep those darks. We want, as we make layers of things, just like we've made layers off into the distance coming forward, we want to make layers in this foreground, in this grassy area. So in between your areas of light, remember to leave some dark. You're going to get this clumping effect. You see how I've left this whole little pocket of dark right here. That's the difference maker. That's what's going to make it look like grass instead of just a bunch of paint smudges. Okay, so let's see if we can't brighten that up just a little bit. Okay, so I'm just mixing a little bit of that yellow back into that same old green that I just had. Let's see. There we go. Once again, just pulling those bristles. If you can see that, just pulling them away. Right, that's the edge of this bristle right here. Just pulling away, pulling away. Okay, anyways, there. It's a light touch. And maybe even, you know what? Maybe I need a little bit more white. Okay, so I've got a little bit of white now. Throw a little bit of white in there. And I'm okay with these being a little bit darker because, maybe a little bit of shadow. A little shadow from these trees, a little bit. Right, and as we come forward here, oh, that's a little bit too much. Let's get that a little bit more yellow with a little bit of that white in there. And just see where I've got my grasses here. What I want to do is I want to create just the tips of those as they come out. Knowing how much it was a little bit wetter here, there's less and less paint on my brush, so I'm getting a more refined effect. And I gotta know, okay, when I go ahead and put it on here, it's gonna be a little bit more goopy again, right? So I'm gonna be working closer up front here where the blotches might be a little bit bigger. But then when I come around over to here, right, get it off my brush, then I come around here, there's less paint on my brush, so they're going to be smaller and more refined. That's it right there. You got to know what color you got and where it's at. Okay, that's starting to really look like some grass there, doesn't it? And you know what Bob would always do? He'd throw a little pizzazz in there. So we'll throw a little pizzazz, a little bit of red. Ooh, careful, not too much. Red can really get crazy. My old teacher, Millie Lidecker, that was my mentor as a child. Um, she's told me red's powerful. You gotta watch out. A little bit of red. Ooh, ooh, little goes a long way, right? But there it is, little tiny bit. Just like some little flowers in there. If you ever go out to the woods, check that out. Little flowers, little berries. Not much. And remember that red is a complementary color to the green. So it looks really good. It really makes it pop. Little something under here. See, it started off here, nice and thick. Well, not nice and thick. Hopefully not thick at all, right? But that's where it was the strongest. By the time I'm getting over here, it's a lot less on my brush and it's a lot darker. And where I put it where there's shadow. So that makes sense, right? Okay. Well, my friends, that is little mini Bob Ross